We're taking you live now to the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. That is the scene. As you can probably make out, there are pools of smoke very close to the main square where the sit-in has been taking place outside the Army HQ since April the 6th. We have seen a little earlier, we've seen quite a lot of security forces, whether they're main army units or whether they're units attached to the rapid support forces. It's hard to tell from this angle. I think we've got somebody now on the line, Mohammed Amin, who can talk us through perhaps what we're seeing. Mohammed Amin, as far as I understand, you're a protester, you're in Khartoum. Tell us what's going on now.
Yes, now what is happening exactly, like an hour ago, the government forces, mainly from the RSF, they attacked the sit-in square from all directions, from like the 7 or 8 entrances to the main square at the sit-in in front of the army headquarters in Khartoum. Now the forces, it's actually what I can see from my place, like hundreds of forces on dozens of vehicles. They came from all directions. They started with raiding the barricades around the square using military vehicles and big trucks. And now they entered. Actually, now they are part of them have reached actually the middle of the sit-in square, using live bullets, using tear gas sticks. They beaten the protesters. Protesters are fleeing around, trying to get out from the entrances, and part of them are still resisting. And a lot of casualties fallen, but for sure, for now, I cannot say how many numbers maybe of casualties and people wounded. But I saw a lot actually of people fallen because of the extensive fire and tear gas being used by the RSF.
Right,
now they started even firing the tents that the protesters using to sleep and to sit in the square.
Mohammed, from the camera shot that we have in front of us, there seem to be several fires burning. Can you tell us about that? What is actually burning?
They actually they burn the tents and the small tents being used by the protesters. They've been established by the protesters since the beginning of the sit-in. They are sleeping inside and they're using it. For example, one of these tents is one of the small field clinics being used by the doctors' committee to help the protesters and to provide the medical services to the protesters. Now, I can say that most of the clinics inside even they've been dispersed and no medical services being presented to the protesters and to the injuries inside.
Right, Mohammed, now we can see that people are gathering. It is quite early in the morning. How many people would you say are likely to be in the square at this time of the morning?
You can say still thousands of people inside, but now I've been talking to many protesters and to many organizers from the SPA and from some opposition parties. Now they are using the microphones in the residential areas, calling the people to join there. And now some people from neighborhoods around they are marching towards the area. And the RSF is actually make a cordon around the place and preventing the people who try to reach there using the tear gas to disperse them not to reach the place. The RSF looks very persistent to break up this sit-in today, actually.
Indeed, there have been warnings, haven't there, over the past few days that the military had had enough, basically, and they wanted the square to be cleared. What was the response? What has been the general feeling, then, of the protesters, given this change in mood from the army, insofar as the tensions do seem to be rising?
Now, actually, most of the people, they shocked and they're actually angered. They're shocked because even the TMC, the Transition Military Council, even like in the whole past days, they are talking about the negotiations with the Change and Freedom Alliance to form the new government, and the people actually relaxed. Maybe that tactic used by the TMC to relax the protesters and then attack. Actually, most of the people now, even still now, until now, I mean, inside the square, they are still chanting against the TMC and against the RSF. But the extensive fire, I mean, I do think that in 1 hour they can disperse everything around, and let the marshals and the people who are come to support can enter the square.
And is it your understanding, then, that those soldiers that we can see on the streets who have been using the live fire and the tear gas, is it your understanding that they are members of the Rapid Support Forces, then, this rather controversial unit that is aside from the mainstream military? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, yes, actually, the forces who attacked today is using the uniform of the RSF and some uniforms of the police and uniforms of the military. It's like joint operation between the three forces, and until now, the TMC and the other forces, the police, they didn't make any statement about who is responsible of that. The SPA, the opposition, has condemned the attempt in a short statement and calling on the people to join the square to salvage the sit-in and to continue sitting there. But the situation is still gloomy, but for sure, it's government forces. It's government forces, and it's joint operation between the military and the RSF militia, which support the Sudanese army.
And Mohammed, is it your sense then that this is the moment in which these military forces are determined to end the sit-in outside Army HQ in Khartoum? Is this the moment?
It's the moment. It's the moment that they are now. They are inside. They are inside the square. They look very insistent, very persistent to disperse this sit-in. Now the TMC maybe tried to change the power of balance in the country, to change the power of balance in the negotiation with the opposition parties. So if they want to control the sit-in, because the sit-in is one of the main points of the power of the protesters and of the power of the opposition. They want to end this now using the force, and the future of the negotiations and the future of the attempt to hand over the power to the civilians is now really under serious question.
Mohammed Amin, thank you for that very much indeed, for explaining a little bit more about what we're actually seeing. Thank you for that, Mohammed. Now I'm told that we can speak to Mamadou Abu Zaid, who is also in the vicinity of the square, the main sit-in square, the site of the main protest outside Army HQ. Thank you very much, Mamadou, for talking to us. Can you tell us what you know about what's going on right now?
Well, clearly what's going on right now, in my personal opinion, it's a clear statement from the TMC and all those who are controlling or giving orders to the powers that are dispersing the protests in Sudan. It's pretty clear that the TMC wants to disperse the protest, and even inside in front of the headquarters of army, protesters were sitting calmly. There was nobody who was being aggressive. There was no aggression at all. It was peaceful up until 6:30 a.m. or 6:40 a.m. That's when the the rapid police forces, and including the army, they were shooting live ammunition in the air, and they were shooting. Wait, one second. Hello?
Yes,
Okay,
Mamadou, tell us what you're seeing.
Everybody's running away now, shooting live ammunition, and they were shooting sound bombs at the protesters. I actually filmed a couple of people who died, and many injuries. We walked and we were running right in front of the army. The army was standing still, was not providing any support, was closing the doors in front of their bases. They didn't allow the protesters to enter. And actually, this is a very sad incident, and it's a very misfortunate moment that we're witnessing after all the accomplishments that the Professional Association has accomplished with the transition.
Mamadou, what's your understanding then as to casualties, those who may have been wounded? What's your idea of the situation regarding that?
I saw one of the police forces who was injured. It was a head injury, and there were two other people, the protesters, who were injured. And there was a child that actually fell right in front of me. He was run over by the protesters. Most of the protesters are riding their cars and driving away, trying to escape from the area. And some of them are actually hitting the protesters. So it's a bit chaotic here.
Right, I can understand that.
Trying to find
we can also see from our camera shot, we can also see fires which are burning rather fiercely now from one of the camera shots that we've got. What's actually on fire?
They're burning tires and they're burning parts of the barricade. They're trying to keep the police forces away from the area that was agreed upon, that is allowed for protesters to peacefully protest.
Right.
So
sorry.
I really don't understand.
Can I just clarify that? So it's the protesters then have set fire to barricades and tires in order to keep the police and the security forces away?
That's what I have witnessed. But a part of the fire was caused by the sound bomb that they're firing, because when it blows up, it produces some kind of flame. I don't know how to explain it to you.
Right. Okay.
But at least over 5,000 rounds of bullets were shot in less than half an hour. They've cleared all the area, the eastern side of the protest, right next to the Nile Street.
Right.
They've cleared the area that was in front of the headquarters of army as well.
Now there have been, Mamadou, there have been sort of indications that the military wanted to clear the sit-in. Did this come as a complete surprise to you, or were you aware that something was brewing?
I'm sorry. Can you come again?
Did you know that the military were about to start this operation, or did it come as a complete surprise?
No, we were aware of it. Groups of the protesters were organizing to secure the entrances, and I personally have actually called some of my friends to come to the protest area, and we were trying to secure it, but you can't really stand in front of live ammunition when you're actually armless. You know, you don't have any weapons with you. So we were aware of it, and everybody was ready for it. It was like an overall feeling of tense, and I really don't know how to explain it to you. I don't know how to explain it to you. We were aware of it, and it just happened all of a sudden. It progressed. We actually were succeeded to push them back a little bit, but they came back with more forces. I would say at least 5,000 or 6,000 of the police and the rapid police forces are securing all the area, and they kicked everyone out already. Right.
Now, I also heard from, we were speaking to Mohammed a bit earlier, he was suggesting that the Sudanese Professionals Association was calling upon more people from other parts of the city to descend upon the square to reinforce the protests. Is that your understanding? Are people leaving, or are they coming?
No, people were coming. More people were coming. I mean, today the protesters, and they were more than yesterday and the night before. And this is actually due to the fact that people knew that there was going to be an attack. There's a huge fire right now in front of the army headquarters. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I can't see it from here. But interestingly enough, most of the high buildings next to the army headquarters area on the eastern side, close to the Nile Street, had rapid police forces on third or fourth floor. They were shooting the sound bombs from there. And I would say it was a very smart attack. It was organized, and it's just the wrong move after all the progress that we have accomplished between the transitional military.
So is it,
the association.
So Mamadou, is it your understanding then that the protesters are going to stand firm in the face of this onslaught by the military?
Interestingly enough, protesters, we were standing right in front of them while they were shooting bullets at us, and we were yelling, peaceful, peaceful. It is always going to be a peaceful protest, even if we leave from this place, even if they disperse the protest in front of the army headquarters. Sudan is a big area. We will create another area, and we will sit again, and we will demand our rights, because we can never ask for the security of a company to run the company. The military is military. They're supposed to have they have a reason to stay in the country, and they're supposed to do their duty, and that's it. The military cannot run a country. I don't know how they cannot understand it. A 5-year-old child can understand it. This is not your job. You don't run the country. They just don't want to understand it. It's the wrong move what they did today. It's a very wrong move what they did today.
And from what you're saying, it sounds as though it's only going to galvanise the protests. It's not going to dissipate protesters. It's going to strengthen them. And more people, in fact, are coming to join the protesters.
Yes, this protest, for those who are outside of Sudan, need to understand one thing. This protest is not about money. It's not about bread. It's not about fuel. This protest has increased the general awareness of the public of Sudan of one specific topic: our rights. We have rights in Sudan. How come we cannot access our rights? And once we are aware of the fact that we have rights, we will always stand in front of the oppression. If it's not in front of the army headquarters, it's going to be in a different location, and they will see. We have made it this far, and we're not going back again.
All right, but Mamadou, I'm also being told that the Committee of Sudanese Doctors has reported that at least one person has been killed and many have been injured. Are you not scared?
Why would I be scared? Why? I'm standing for something here. If I don't stand for it, who's going to do it? We've been under this oppression for 30 years, and now we are the generation who knows everything about this military regime, but they don't know anything about us. We know how to stand in front of them in a smart way. We've learned from the mistakes of the neighboring countries. We are not going to fall into that trap. And Sudanese people they're becoming more aware of how to stand in front of how to fight oppression. So if the public knows how to fight oppression, we're not going to be quiet. And if death is something that I can provide for the next generation to live in a peaceful country, why wouldn't I do it? Why do I have to travel outside of my country to have a decent life? This is our main basic rights, basic human rights. We need that. We want that. And we demand it, and we deserve it. If they don't want to give it to us, we will protest peacefully. And if they shoot bullets at us, we will protest peacefully in another place. We've lost more than 100 lives in the last 6 months of the protest. More than 100 lives were lost in Sudan. A couple of weeks ago, there was an attack in front of the Nile. The transitional military forces said they started an investigation. It's their job, started the investigation. Where's the result of the investigation? There's nothing. Nothing. They're shooting bullets at us now. They're not doing their job, and they want to take our places as civilians in this country.
And who would be in the protest group right now? As I keep saying, it's quite early in the morning in Khartoum. This is Ramadan, of course, the last days of Ramadan. We could see quite a few young men. Would it be young men, for the most part, who'd be taking part in the protests at this particular time?
70% of Sudan are under the age of 27. And 80% of Sudanese public, if you ask them, do you want to stay in this, what's your next plan? They say, I want to leave Sudan. Why is that? Because of the reason that they cannot live here. They go out for their rights, basic rights. We're demanding our rights. If you go walk around the protest now, you can see kids from the age of 5 or 6 years old up until 60 or 70 years old. A man was shot right in front of me in his head, and he was about 60 years old. He couldn't even run. People were carrying him. The older generation, they don't understand that they've had their chance to live in Sudan, in a good Sudan before this regime, and now it's our chance. There's a very famous saying in Sudan, we say, strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men. We are living in the bad times now, and we are going to create strong men. That's a promise. So
as far as you're concerned, at this particular point in your protest, in your revolution, it is the people of Sudan against whom? Against the Rapid Support Forces, against the regular military, or against the police? Who are the people of Sudan, the protesters, fighting against now?
Omar al-Bashir I would say he left his position, but he's still controlling the whole game. And everything that is happening now has been planned since 1984, since the Mede entered. So now Sudan has been dissected into the public who want to live a normal, decent civilian life, and those who came from the desert areas, 15, 16 years old, kids who were promised to be paid $400 or $500 in order to be recruited to be rapid police forces, to fight against their own brothers and sisters, brainwashing them to fight against a cause that is civilian. They understand the rapid police forces and the transitional military council and the police. They think that a civilian government means the dissolvement of Islamic religion in the country, which is a complete, it's not true. It's not true. So we just need one thing. We need to spread awareness among the transitional military council, among the kids who are being militarized, and among the police forces that this is your brother. The person who you're shooting at is going out to protest against a regime that is forcing him to accept bribes, to do illegal jobs just to be able to survive, A doctor who spends 6 years of their life studying medicine gets paid $60. $60 in Sudan. This is not a life. Of course
Absolutely.
Go out and protest.
Mamadou, I'm sure that many people will relate to what you're saying. But Mamadou, what I wanted to ask you was, the military, obviously, the regular military, the rapid support forces, the police, they are all armed. You, the people of this demonstration, are not. Are you prepared to stand your ground against forces that are heavily weaponized and enter into a conflict, of course, which you can't win?
I disagree with you completely. We can win. We can. And it has proven throughout history that knowledge is so much stronger than a weapon. Knowledge. We have the knowledge that they don't have. We are educated people. These people are not educated. They've been brainwashed. So our weapon is education right here. We are fighting. We're using this weapon. No matter how much they try to tempt us and test us by shooting live bullets at us, what we're going to do, we're going to be patient. We're going to play smart. We're going to follow our leaders, proper tactics, control the right areas at the right time, civil disobedience, and eventually, we're going to get to an agreement with the Transitional Military Council. We don't want to kick them out of the country. We want them to understand that we can all live here peacefully. Just listen to us and allow us to live the life that you can live.
Right. If the objective of the various forces at work right now is just to clear the square, the main square, to remove the barricades and to free up this part of the city, because they've regularly complained that business, commerce and the general life of Khartoum is being disrupted by the protesters. If their objective is just to clear the protests, will you retreat and then regroup?
Definitely. That's a definite thing. We'll definitely regroup in different locations. This plan that we are accomplishing right now is not the only plan. Of course, there are so many different other plans that would be accomplished. But the matter of fact, there's one really important thing that I would like to clarify here. The reason why the protesters gathered in front of the army base is because when a live bullet is being shot in the perimeter of the army base, the army has the right to defend those who are in front of it, who are the civilians. But now we have been shot right in front of the army, and the army did nothing. So pretty much they paid the army, and pretty much something happened. We don't know. We're not involved in the politics. We're in the streets. We are doing our part of the battle, and everyone is doing their part of the battle. This is what I can say.
So how significant would it be then if the protest, the sit-in outside the Army HQ, if that is cleared, how significant would that be in terms of the protest movement?
Sorry. I can tell you one thing.
Mamadou, you're running, aren't you? Why are you running? What are you running away from?
Yeah, they're coming from different side streets. They're coming from different side streets, from the right and the left side streets. So we're trying to find cover.
Mamadou, who is approaching? Who are you actually running away from?
That's how we said it. We're being attacked by the rapid police forces and the police. But there is something that I witnessed which was really interesting. When the police forces came to disperse the protest from the Nile Street, from the northern side of the protest area, some soldiers of the rapid police forces were trying to stop the police They were pushing the police back. And then they were attacked also by the police, and then the police left. They have their armors. Some parts of the protest were able to acquire the armors and use it against them. I mean, not against them, but to protect themselves.
Right, Mamadou, you need to make sure that you're safe. Are you in a safe place now?
Yeah. Yes, I've been here since the 6th of July. We know the areas ins and outs.
Right.
This is also one weapon we're using against them. We know everything about the Transitional Military Council. We know everything about their history, about their tactics, how they think. They've been on the country for 30 years. They've used every single card they can, and they don't know anything about us. They don't know anything about the youth and the new generation. And I see protesters right now in Burri Street. They're burning wheel tires and trying to create a new barricade.
So would it be fair to assume then that many of the protesters who were in the square have now dispersed? They've run away from the gunfire, away from the tear gas, and they are preparing to regroup for later?
I would say 80% of the protesters left that area. The attack was very heavy. It was very heavy, and it was ruthless. And it was an attack of a person who, it's not like their job to disperse the protest peacefully. They were there to hurt the people. They were there to scare the people. The Sudanese people, according to the last 30 years of this regime, they have been treated really badly. They've been humiliated in schools, and and everywhere they worked, and they grew up to work in police forces, which needs no requirements. It needs no knowledge. It needs no skills. So they start working there, and as soon as they get a tiny bit of authority, they use it against the public. You get what I mean? It's like a mental issue, a psychological issue of the need to control the surroundings. But the public now, those who have learned, who have acquired proper education, they understand that it is okay to be Democrat. It is okay to be any party that you're following as long as you're respecting the others, and your freedom ends where the freedom of other people begins. Now, we are out because they've crossed the lines of our freedom. They've jumped inside our houses. They've attained us. They've broken our cars. They've taken our rights. And you see them out in the streets with the fanciest cars and living in the fanciest houses. It's just not fair.
Mamadou, let's come back to the here and the now. I think I interrupted you a little earlier after I'd asked you if indeed this the actual protest, the sit-in, is cleared. How significant is that to the overall protest movement?
It's going to escalate the protest to the next level, which is going to be first the civil obedience, the entire country, municipalities, ministries, companies, shops, barber shops, everyone is going to get into civil disobedience, and that is going to put some pressure on the Transitional Military Council. I'm not really aware of what's going to happen, but I'm telling you that this is not the last point. This is a point of motivation to us. We knew that it was going to happen, and now we're just waiting for the information that we follow from our leaders.
Right, you're on the move again, Mamadou, I can hear. Where are you heading for, and what are you running away from specifically?
Well, they're still moving forward. The police forces, they're called al-bashir, and the rapid police forces, the kids with weapons. We're just moving away from them because we want to get into the battle in a smart way. If they're playing this card, we will play our cards, and sometimes it's just not your battle. It's not my battle to be right in front of them throwing rocks. Just documenting things and reporting.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? I mean, how are you going to battle against these heavily armed forces when you don't have weapons yourselves?
As I told you before, there's 5,000 of them who are carrying weapons, which are guns. Our weapons are reporting, our weapons are education, our weapons are spreading awareness, our weapons are civil disobedience, our weapons are treating them in a good way, our weapons are... We have many weapons to use against them. Their only weapon is to shoot a live bullet at a person. And they cannot kill 40 million people. They cannot silence this revolution. That's one thing for sure.
Do you think that they're going to be ultimately successful in clearing the square, though, the sit-in, which has become the focal point, if you like, of the revolutionary movement? Are they going to be able to clear it?
I think they've already cleared big parts of it, and they did this move today specifically because day after tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be the first day of Eid. So day after tomorrow is going to be Eid, and they've tried to clear the protest area today because after Eid is going to be another full schedule of a full week that different people from different cities in Sudan have been recruited to the sit-in, and the Professional Association has arranged buses for protesters to come from different cities to Sudan. So they've attacked today because the numbers are low since the end of Ramadan, because they didn't want to go through another phase of a peaceful sit-in. But it's a very, I'm sorry for this, it's a very wrong move to do of the Transition Military Council, specifically today in Ramadan.
Right, so your thinking is that the military is moving against the protests now, before Eid, which of course is the festival that follows Ramadan within a couple of days. But basically what you're telling me also is that the numbers of protesters is growing by the week.
Yes, definitely growing by the day, I can tell you that. In Ramadan, the protest was less than usual because people are fasting since from like 4 or 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. and the heat is really terrible. So people decided to stay at their houses, but now we have 2 more days to come back again. And if it's not in front of the sit-in, we are going to create different locations that people are going to gather and protest in them. We're going to lock down the entire city, and that's the promise. You will hear it in the news in a couple of days.
And so if they are able to clear the demonstration from the Army HQ, in your opinion, that will do nothing to dampen down this revolution and this desire for change that the people have been expressing ever since early April?
Yeah, as I told you, even the kids now, 15-year-old kids who didn't know how to read and write, now they know that they have a right in a country as a citizen before they have obligations. They know their rights. That is the thing that we have succeeded in, to spread the awareness in the public that we have rights and we need to ask for them. And the Transitional Military Council should do their job. And if you don't do your job, then you don't deserve your position. So the more they try to play this dirty game and this dirty card, the stronger the protest is gonna happen, and the more weapons we're gonna get, and the more people we're going to gather.
Mamadou Abu Zaid, I'm exceedingly grateful for you taking the time to talk us through what's going on in front of you in Khartoum, even as you yourself are trying to get to safety. Thank you so much. Please be safe, and thank you very much indeed for talking to us at Al Jazeera.